I'm Scott Unclebach, and this is Darlene Unclebach, and we've been here since the very beginning. Our life is very tied to Elevate Life Church, but with Pastors Keith and Sheila, it goes way before that. I was 20. I was in and out of church, and lo and behold, I walk in, and Pastor Keith is sitting on the stage. And I knew who he was. I knew his name. I said, oh, that's Keith Kraft. I wonder why he's here. They announced him as our youth pastor that Sunday. And we became friends, and he became my pastor and my mentor quickly. We were standing out in his front yard, and he said, look, I think we're supposed to do life together. And I was like, yes, we're supposed to be together. Fast forward, and right before he turned 40, he called us and said, we believe we're gonna start a church in Frisco, Texas. And we'd like you guys to be at that meeting, because we had said, if you ever start a church, we're with you. At the end of October, and we had our first interest meeting, and we raised money, and we started January 9th of 2000. So starting church in Frisco, you would think would be on a Sunday morning, but there wasn't any schools available. So Frisco was so small at that time, there wasn't. So we started on Sunday night. And man, we had no idea the adventure that we were getting into. So church set up at 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoons, sometimes 3-hour service with Pastor Keith, and then tear down, and then dinner together. So we get home around midnight, because we were still living in Sherman. After 2 years, we had a Sunday morning service. By that time, we were large enough to go to 2 services. And setup started for us about 4:30 in the morning. It was a magical time. To really get into the tapestry of Elevate Life Church, you have to serve, right? But when I started serving at church, my life changed. I mean, it completely changed. Our life changed, our kids' lives changed, because Garrett would get up and come with me in the morning and serve. We would take in 2 cars, then Darlene would follow behind us, because she had to be there by the time we got the trucks unloaded to set up the nursery. I would say it made the Unclebach family who we are today by serving in the church the way we did.
Well, and I think the important piece too wasn't like we were leaving our kids at home with the babysitter so we can do this. No, this is who we are as a family, as a unit, and doing that with our kids and having our kids they were young. Garrett around 10, Brittany was around 13 when we started this, and it's like, this is just how we roll. This is what we do. Our kids never were resistant to it. It was like an adventure. They loved it because it had been set in very early in our kids. This isn't like a choice. This is who we are. This is what we do. And so our kids really bought into that.
The first service we had as a church on Sunday night, he started raising money to buy land. The first service. So Rod Vilhauer connected us with a guy named Jim Williams. He went to the local farmer that owned this and got them to sell us acreage. So 2.5 years in, we bought the land. And immediately Pastor said, we're gonna build a building. I was a commercial builder, and Pastor had been involved with my life and knew what we did and then I was a commercial contractor, and it was natural. It was like, we're gonna build a building. I said, okay, look, I'm gonna build a building. And so we're gonna do that as a contractor and not charge the church to do it. That was what I could give.
And that was actually just a tough season for us in the middle of going through that.
Very difficult season. I told Pastor we decided to start a church and all hell broke loose. That was a very difficult season for us, but the most wonderful thing happened is we got to build the church. I can still remember all the people at the church getting ready to open it the couple days before, and all the things we had to do to get ready to have those first church services. And it was a special time.
It's amazing how sometimes the hardest things we can go through can be the richest things that ever happened to us. And that's really what that happened, is it just created a lot of depth, just within our family, and it created great depth and relationships around us.
Being consistently plugged in is the single greatest thing that we've done as a family. That we've stayed in, we've served, our kids have served and plugged in during the good times and the bad times, health-wise, financially-wise, whatever the season might have been, we've stayed plugged in, we've stayed consistent. I can tell you unequivocally, it's the single greatest thing that we've done as a family is stay committed to the house. I say this all the time, I'm the richest man in the world. She's the richest mom in the world because we have our kids and they love the Lord and they want to be with us. Honestly, it's magical.
Being plugged into this house developed consistency in us. And because when you're just like it doesn't matter what the weather is, we're there, consistency, right? Well, when you do that, it bleeds into the way we parent, the way we do our marriage, and our kids both. If you ever ask them, like, what is the one thing in y'all, how you were raised or whatever that your parents did well, they would say we were consistent. We would have never been able to have been consistent in our marriage and parenting had we not been consistent with God and in the church to start off with. And that was a role model led by Pastors Keith and Sheila for us.
So obviously getting to be a part of the church from the beginning, having the pleasure as a God-given talent of being a builder and being able to build the buildings was an amazing deal. And I say it's one of the greatest things I've accomplished in my life. Here we are, it's so beautiful. So Pastor Josh now is the same age as our daughter Brittany, and Pastor Josh is leading the staff now, of the church. Our daughter Brittany and Josh are intricately involved in the marriage part of this church. Garrett is leading the men's ministry on Saturday. It's almost like a dream come true. It's like, is this really possible? Are we able to establish a church, build a church, and get it paid off in our lifetime so the next generation can do so much more? My children have done what mom and dad did. The Kraft children have done what mom and dad did. It's legacy. Your kids can serve God. Your kids can lead in this house. They can make a difference. And they will if you just do the basics, which is just plug in, be consistent, be part of the house of God with your time, talent, and treasure, and then look what God will do.